So welcome everyone to Teams Nation 2021. It's my fourth time here today, so I'm privileged and I'm honored to share my new session on Microsoft Viva Connections. So it's all about getting rich and connected, both content-wise, richness of the knowledge, experiences, and everything else. So kind of let's just get started on that. So in terms of the overview for the session, very simple agenda, really just to understand what Microsoft Viva and Viva Connections in particular, which is part of that Viva suite of products, is what it's all about. Most of the session content is demo based, very few slides for reference purposes, and with lots of links in them as well, so that you're able to follow for the setups and everything else. So we'll go through that as well in terms of what it takes to set up and running, and then of course much of the Viva Connections is powered by SharePoint. So we'll look at some of the common building blocks and some of the considerations that you would need to make, but hopefully that kind of will give you a good kind of takeaways around if you haven't already started with Viva Connections, then kind of get you up and running. So I'm Chirag Patel. I'm a Microsoft 365 consultant working with Patel Consulting, delivering collaboration secure services through Microsoft 365, SharePoint, Teams, and been doing this for a number of years. So I tend to work with some of the UK partners, as well as the end user organizations, performing all kinds of roles and doing various activities around deployments, migrations, and including recently tenant to tenant migrations across all the workloads. So that kind of keeps me busy. In my spare time, if I have any, then I tend to organize and run M365 UK on a monthly basis. And we have next one coming up next Wednesday. And so m365uk.org is the links over there. You can register for that. But also I speak at various community events and like this one as well. So it's the only way I can get to learn and be able to share things that I've come across and my experiences, various community events around the world. So obviously some of those credentials I've also kind of trying to follow with the certifications as well. And just recently I've become a British Computer Society approved assessor, and all that means basically is I get to field various IT professionals and keeping the IT good, if you like, for the society, and be able to assess their applications and interview for the chartered membership. So that's a bit about me. techchirag.com is the best way to get to me. I don't do emails per se, because I just get too many of those. So anything that I can help with, please feel free to reach out, and I'll try and help you out as much as possible. Those are some of the links there, so you may be interested in having access to my slides from previous sessions or events, and all these are clickable, so I'll upload the slides after this session, so you'll get the whole links and everything else to that as well. So kind of just before we get started, if you like, in terms of Microsoft Teams, and needless to say, even more than Outlook, Teams is pretty much where we stay all day long, or even evenings, to try and work with it. And I think when you look at some of these numbers, and even in Jeff Teeper's keynote earlier today, and as of a couple of weeks ago, you got like 145 million daily active users. Not because Teams is the only collaboration tool out there compared to the competitive products, but also a lot of the experiences and innovations that Microsoft have put in the investments for the product has kind of enabled the growth for it. So it'll be interesting to see, especially with Microsoft Viva being kind of coming out, as to how much of that push will take, and especially when it's all about the hybrid workplace as well as the employee engagement. So those are some of the numbers, kind of really startling numbers that's been kind of just shooting up almost every year in 6 months, if you like. So kind of chats and collaborations is which is where we've come from, the phone systems, the apps, the customizations, and that's all very well and all good. And I don't know about you, but certainly from my experience, especially the last couple of years, it's just overwhelming, all the apps and services that you see, and you end up clicking around in a lot of places to get to the information you need, whether that's SharePoint or Microsoft 365 group mailbox or Stream, Yammer, and all those things. And to an extent, a lot of that is still available through the SharePoint experiences anyways. But what this basically means that as a capability for the employee experience, the platform, the capability has been around for a couple of years, if you like, and on and off through various technology and tools. It's been going on for for many years. And this is kind of, if you like, Microsoft's view to try and bring all those things together, and in terms of form of the communications, whether it's company-wide communications or department-based. You got your company resources around your typically scenarios like your intranets or your modern workplace scenarios to be able to access your key services and benefits and all those things, but also being able to then tap into your other application integrations that you may have, to be able to try and do everything inside Microsoft Teams. But really what's kind of pushing, if you like, and which is where Microsoft Viva kind of comes into play, is that it's although it's kind of a new type of product category, but it's not a new product per se, because what it's doing essentially is bringing all the tools and services within the Microsoft 365 platform in form of those Viva kind of apps, which is pretty much what you have, 4 of those. So whether you call them modules, I like to call them apps because they're literally an app sitting on your Teams console, but really you got 4 types of that. And the focus of this session obviously is around Microsoft Viva Connections, and then obviously and we'll dive into more detail around that, but it's really a gateway to your company branded personalized employee portal, if you like, and also being a launchpad to drive into your other Viva modules like your insights, topics, and learning. And this is where it gets really interesting, because some of these things are per license-based costs to be able to use them. But when you look at in the grand scheme of things, that cost is very little in terms of how much investment you get out of, in order for the employees to be able to get to work with all that latest and curated knowledge and experiences, and then obviously with learning resource and everything else that's going to come around. It's just a start, if you like, to be able to bring all those experiences together in those apps. I know there are some sessions today, later on each of these areas, so do check out those sessions as well. But again, I'll dive into the culture and communications aspect of the Viva Connections in terms of how best to get that set up and be able to use what you've already got in your investment. Now, some of you, I'm pretty sure most organizations will be using SharePoint in some form or some shape, whether that's document management or just for the intranets, whatever that is. But then you have also, just going back to those numbers that we had a look, a lot of the organizations are just stepping straight into Microsoft Teams and almost viewing SharePoint as a backend, if you like. But really, in this area, when we see what the Teams app looks like, then again, this is a Microsoft slide that kind of allows you to be able to bring that SharePoint intranet, if you like, inside your team. And that's in a nutshell what it is. It's an intranet inside your team. And so it's gone through some of that naming change, because what used to be called a home site app, they've obviously changed that to called Viva Connections. So if you see a lot of that naming and jargon in the documentation, then it's very simply just an employee portal to your SharePoint, if you like, and being able to integrate some of those things. So let's just dive into that and just have a look around what all of these things are and some of the key features, if you like, to look into that. So if I go to my screen. So if I go into my Teams, and this is the web version, I'm using a fictitious company in terms of Contoso Electronics. usual sort of set of teams I've got, my chats and channels within those, nothing new over there. But what you have here is on the Teams app bar is I've got an app here called the landing. And this is, again, not to say that it's a Viva Connections. It is a Viva Connections app, but it's a branded app for this organization. So, it's a SharePoint web page in a simplicity, if you like, that's coming across in here. You will have different areas of things in here which you may have different yours. So in my case, what I've got is that every SharePoint site that you have, one of the key component there is the navigation elements of it. So, this one SharePoint site has got all the necessary links, typically like your intranet scenarios, your mega menus, being able to tap into all those links. Nothing new there. That whole menu experience comes across nicely within this page. We'll obviously look into more detail in terms of that page building blocks. But if I scroll down, I've got all those richness around the page web parts, as we call them, which is built that constructs that single page, if you like, into this Viva Connections app. And then I've got all the content that's grouped in there, which not only necessarily references to this SharePoint related, but also your Yammer communities, your Microsoft Stream videos, forms, if you want to do polls, quizzes, all those things, and also my recent documents just for me. So, it's personalized to the nth degree that you want to show that to your individual users. And this experience was always there, but you would have had to access all that inside your SharePoint. And some of you, the organizations out there, you'll be using your tabs. That's fine. That's all still there. The pages, the SharePoint sites, being able to display all those pages and elements of it inside your Teams channel and tabs. But this is an area where I can now go into here and be able to then dive straight into the navigation. So I've got something here that's called Hub Navigation, which we'll look at that in more detail. I can have that on or off, or I can just switch that off completely, that menu structure. But from here, I'm easily able to step into a global sales SharePoint site, which is another one. And then within that, I've got the necessary information, the content that's personalized, not just to myself, but also to the whole company-wide who's got access to this area of that. And then you can see that there are some specific team sites which may be created as a consequence of Microsoft Teams chat space. So I can actually access those in here as well. So if I go into retail, for example, then again, that's going to take me to the retail site. So at this point, personally, I don't really care where the SharePoint sites live, as long as I'm able to navigate from top all the way from the top level to the bottom level, if you like, and be able to access my content from there. And clicking on that will obviously then take me to that particular file directly, all inside this team. So really kind of minimal disruption into switching between programs and applications, and all inside that one team interface. And that one, in my case, just a single tab of the browser is taking me straight into that information there. And one of the irritating parts about this is that, when you click on so many links, you all end up going back until you get to the page you want. I don't have to worry all about that, because I can simply just go back to my landing app here with, again, Viva Connections. So I can just click on that. And then when I get to that, if that's going to work, come on. Okay, got there in the end. Right, so if I click on the landing app itself, then I've got my navigation that opens up. Now this is a SharePoint, the global navigation that you get within that. So that navigation is still coming through here. So in this case, I've got two areas. I've got my sites, which is the ones that I follow, or the sites that I'm really working very closely. So it gives me a little drop down there, and I can access more SharePoint sites that I have access to. Plus I've got my own news that I'm a member of a particular team or a SharePoint site. So all this is very much personalized, just like the way you would have had in your own SharePoint experience. So if I click on see more here, then that's going to take me straight, still inside the Teams, but it's giving me more view of all the various news pages, not just from the intranet landing area, but also specific team sites as well, like the perspective here. If I go further down, then I've got more around Contoso Works and various SharePoint sites. So then I can take a pick and say, maybe, I might save this news item for later, so I can save for later and all those things. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea in terms of the navigation perspective, easily to be able to get into all those sites here and now without stepping in anywhere else. The other area is the search, which is kind of, if you like, a level up, if you like, in terms of where you could do. So again, if I kind of go into here and say type in benefit, then not only it'll give me kind of two levels of search, because first it gives me two suggestions. First one is to say that if I want to view all the results to do with benefit, that's going to try and look into, if you like, within my usual Teams search for any messages, chats, or files that's got benefits. Now in this particular case, I know that benefits I'm trying to look for is to do with the intranet for the company benefits, if you like. So if I go in here, then I can go into my second search bar, and this is where you will end up leaving from Microsoft Teams and step into SharePoint. So it says over here, opens in SharePoint site. But again, that search is within Teams, and now it takes me to what we call a comprehensive, the Microsoft search experience, which gives me even more detail for refining my search results and being able to even go further down to not just a site called benefits, but also various pages that I've got that's got benefits in them, and then be able to then just kind of get to my content very quickly. So that's kind of, if you like, a very quick tour of getting around your Viva Connections app itself. So again, nothing new for SharePoint users, but it makes a big difference that at least it's all inside Teams, and it's just reduced my overheads to be able to manage and go into various areas. A couple of things you will note here is that the intention here is not to clutter your experience, if you like. So things like if you're a editor of a page or of a website, of a SharePoint site, then you've got no toolbar options here to say I want to edit the page or be able to do any other actions. Likewise, here you have few options on the right here, top right, that you can either follow the site or you can actually share, copy the link, and then place that in your chat to your team members or somebody, or you can just open this into a SharePoint site itself. So as soon as I do that, then you will see that I've got my toolbar here. So if I'm a kind of an owner of the site, then I can go ahead and add more repository like document libraries, create a news post, all those things that I can do. View the analytics of the page, which is something new in recent times you got. So very quick way to be able to get to all that kind of information within that home page, if you like. And because the idea is, you want to make it easy as possible for your users with obviously good governance and guidance, then you're still able to create your SharePoint sites within here. The key thing to bear in mind, and this is probably we'll start getting into how to get this set up, because it looks good, it's all there in its simplicity, and that's great. But more often when I'm working with with users and various organizations, there's always that confusion around what is a home site, what is a hub site, what is a intranet site. But in its simplest form, every one of those is a SharePoint site, and there's only two types. It's either a team site or a communication site, and like it suggests there, communication site is generally catered for a wider audience, if you like, for publishing content, and mainly intranet kind of fits that bill, if you like. And so one of the requirement there is that when you set up a home site, which you can only have one per tenant, and that's really going to be your site, that will be the landing area for all your users. So in this case, my site here is called the landing, and that is a communication site itself that was built from, and that becomes the landing area for all the users to go to. So I won't create the site here, but that's pretty much what you do. Now, if you've kind of come from a background of where you've got some legacy SharePoint sites or classic, this experience of Viva Connections just doesn't work on that, and it's not catered for that because it's using the modern experiences and the tech around it to provide that responsive application, if you like. At the moment, this is only available in the desktop app, but as Jeff and the Microsoft roadmap suggests, this is going to be coming on your mobile as well during the summertime as well. So mobile app, you have to watch the space for that. But once you've got your site created, then you can start doing things. And so if I go back to the slides very quickly to kind of just step into some of the key areas, and this is really, if you like, a 6-step process to kind of get that up and running. So first of all, obviously, you pick your SharePoint site that's most probably like your main intranet site itself, which has got all your navigation links and everything else. So you would basically go and set up that, and all you need is somebody of your SharePoint administrator who's got that permissions, being able to use the SharePoint online management PowerShell module, which again the links are provided in this slide, and be able to run the command set-spo home site and the actual URL for that SharePoint site. As long as the requirements are met in terms of that, it has to be a communication site, then once you're kind of ready with that, you can just go ahead and set that up as your home site. It takes kind of a few minutes, but if you make a change, it can take up to about 2 hours for that change to happen. So don't expect that to happen straight away. But also at the same time, you want to make sure that you enable that global navigation links that we had a look. And something that Microsoft tried to roll out, and I think there's a delay on that, I believe, which basically some tenants will not see that functionality where you can switch on that global navigation bar that we had a look on the left-hand side of your SharePoint. So once that becomes available, then it's kind of, it's one of the requirements that you want to make sure that that's enabled so that the app inside your Teams for Viva Connections then is all integrated with that. So the next step from that, once you've got your home site, SharePoint site, all that set up, then you obviously want to create this particular app. And this is where at the moment it's a bit of a, the process is very well clearly documented with everything else. But again, that's one of the improvements that's going to come in the summer, where you'll be able to just do that through manually. So at the moment, you've got to use a PowerShell module. The good thing is you don't have to write any PowerShell scripting. It just works, and the download is available from the documents of SharePoint site there. So you can basically just run that app, create the app itself by running this PowerShell itself. And if I can show you, looks like, again, don't get put off by the script. Personally, I don't even write code. I do use PowerShell, however, to do things and carry out various tasks. But again, key things I want to kind of run through here is when you run this PowerShell script, and you have to be a SharePoint administrator to be able to run this, and using this SharePoint online PowerShell module itself. When you run the PowerShell script, it's going to ask you around about 10 different questions. Typically to say, which site is it that you want to get to. So if I just kind of go down here, it's going to say, for example, what's the name of the app you're going to call. That's what's going to appear on your Teams console itself. Short and long descriptions, so that in the Teams App Store, when we have a look in a minute, it's going to show you what that Teams Viva Connections app is going to look like. Then you got a couple of links around privacy, terms of usage. If you haven't got one, you can just use the default that's available for Microsoft. Again, it would be recommended that every organization has got their own version of those privacy statements and links to those things. If I go further down a bit here, and this is where I think you will see that if I go particular area here, then you got a couple of things here to note is have those icons ready as well. So there's 2 icons of 2 different sizes. The guidance is provided, and some of the tools you can use to create those icons so that the Teams app bar is coming across with those apps itself. And really, in a way, when you run this PowerShell, you'll kind of answer all those questions. And then eventually, when you've executed that, and as long as the home site is available, you're a SharePoint administrator, and also you need to be a Teams administrator to be able to upload the app that will be created as a result of running this PowerShell script. And all it does, it creates that zip file which contains the Teams manifest file and everything else with the images and all those things ready for that package to be uploaded to your Teams admin center. So once you've created that app package itself, then it's kind of going on to your Teams admin center to be able to manage those apps. And that's, again, very straightforward process, if you like. So if I go into my Teams admin here, then within my Teams apps here, I've got about, I think, like some of you as well, you've probably got over thousands of apps within here. And if I go, because I know there's an app here called Landing, which is the name that I've given to the app itself. So if I do that, then there's my Landings app itself, which is already published. The company itself is a publisher for it, and it's allowed. And it says here custom app. So this particular app as a package was created by running that PowerShell script, which is available from Microsoft to answer those questions as we went through just now. And once you've uploaded that app, then it's kind of available for the users to be able to consume that itself. So there's the privacy and terms of use URL and short name description and all these things in there. So that's your kind of your apps in there. Then within that, you have obviously the permissions, and again, there are other areas for future-proof, if you like, being able to then, I believe some of the APIs will become available for Viva itself, as Microsoft have published those things. So there's more in that area that will kind of come across. But when you go into the setup policies here, then again, within the global, now your policies may be different. If you've turned off things like being able to not upload custom apps, then you will not be able to upload those things. Some tenants, I'm seeing errors where even though they've created an app running that PowerShell script, they upload the app and the tenant, their Teams environment, just doesn't accept that app at all. It just says contact Microsoft support or try later. So there is that some kind of a bug, if you like, depending on if the app doesn't meet that requirement or the app bar itself for the Teams may not be implemented in that. So there's a few things going on there. But once it's published, then essentially you want to make it easier for all the users to be able to access that. So you got your usual pinned apps that users see in their Teams anyways, and then Landings will appear just like the way we were using in our demo here. And that's kind of, if you like, very quick tour way of like, the 6-step process to be able to start from setting up your home site all the way to kind of having that package uploaded and then be able to get up and running with Viva Connections. So just going to have a quick look on the chat window and with the questions. I think there's one question from Amanda. Do you know if I need to rerun the script if I created my app before the app bar was available in my tenant? Very good question, and in fact there is some of that confusion around that. So yeah, I would say if you're not able to upload the app at all, I would well, the home site is already set up, so you don't need to worry about that. What I would try and do is to rerun that package again, so that PowerShell script, rerun that again, make sure that the global navigation app bar is already enabled if it's not been done that, rerun that, and then re-upload that package and see if that goes through. Personally, I know I've had a struggle with some of the tenants, so it's just a matter of keep trying, and I know some of the partners, they're having some issues too. So hopefully that answers the question there, Amanda. So yeah, once you kind of done that, then you kind of, you're just up and running with that. So one of the things to also think about is it's all very well to have the Teams app, but then what do you do with that Viva connection, making sure that's even more richer for everyone to be able to use. So when you look at it from an intranet perspective, everything's a site, and kind of briefly covered what they are, and in terms of hub sites and navigations, which we'll look in a minute. But the key, fundamentally, these are your blocks. You can have either 10 sites or 100 sites. It doesn't really matter as long as it's able to answer a question to the user in terms of that site's purpose and the content that resides within that. We know that every site comes with the news pages and everything else, so you're able to create to the heart's content and being able to use all those things. So let's just kind of dive a little bit in detail in terms of that, and then see how that comes across in your Viva Connections app itself. So if I go in here in my Viva Connections, as I mentioned, I can't do anything in here. I can't create a page. I can't do anything other than just to be able to read on that. So if I go to my SharePoint, I'll just go to the website, like it says there, and then same site, same content in my SharePoint environment now. So I've got a new tab, new browser here. So in here, I'll just go ahead and say create page. So I'll just say add a page, and here what we're going to do is just kind of quickly knock away a page with some few web parts in there and be able to bring that experience from other parts of Microsoft 365. Yeah, okay. So a couple of templates out of the build. You can create your own templates if you wish once you've created a page. So I'll just go for something simple, visual, create page, and always a good thing to give it a name, and we'll call this Teams Nation. And if I then scroll down further, then here I can probably just keep this here for now. I'll probably get rid of this part. In fact, let me just add all the web parts here. So what I'll do first thing here is just add a few things as I want to do it, and then I'll kind of just reorganize a little bit a bit later. So first of all, I'll go and add something called tasks, and I've got 2 tasks which is coming from various places, such as in Planner and other places. So that's one of them. I'll put an organization chart here, and Patty works in one of these organizations, so I'll choose her. So the chain of that org chart will start from there. I'll add another web part here for Yammer. That's called Highlights web part. So it comes across as Yammer Conversations, and I'll give that I'll put that configuration quickly. So the pencil mark will, with any web part, will enable me to do that. So if I go and type in CEO, because I know there is a community called that, so simply searching for that and just say latest conversations for CEO. And then one more we'll add is stream. But you can see that there are a lot of web parts, and that is also also getting constantly populated as well. So I'll probably just stick to that, the videos there as well. But if I wanted to, I could go and pick a particular stream channel, and this is different to your Teams channel, so they're 2 different things. But I could go in there and put a URL for that particular channel and only showcase those set of videos within that. For now, I think I've got enough content within this page. So now what I can do is, just as a page author, I can actually reorganize, because at the moment everything appears in that 1 column block. So if I just quickly go into here, edit section, then I've got the option here, layout options. So I'll probably say 2 columns. And then if I just quickly scroll down, and I'll bring the conversations on the right here, and the videos will go below the conversations there. And I'll probably just stick to that for now. I can rename these things if I wanted to, so I won't do that now, but I'll just go ahead and publish this page and make it live for everybody who has got access to this particular site, in this case, the whole organization. And then I've got a few things here, so I can either save this page as a template and then build on for future versions of pages if I wanted to, or simply just post as an email. And in this case, I'll just go and add that to the navigation. So once I've done that to the navigation, again, very powerful with the navigation, because at the moment, what you put in here, everyone's going to see that, but I can personalize and tailor that to a specific set of users. So if I go and edit that navigation, same skeletal structure that I've got here, and if I scroll right to the bottom, which is where my actually, where is it gone? Did it just disappear? No. I'm sure I just added that. Refresh that page. Okay, there it is. Edit. Okay, there it is. So right at the bottom, and I can actually personalize this particular navigation link. And this is where it gets really powerful, because I can add, and to switch it on first. At the bottom, you got audience targeting here. So I can switch that on, and then I can target that particular link to a set of users. So in this case, I may want to target that to, say, sales and marketing. There is a team available for that. So in this case, sales and marketing members will be able to access that Teams Nation. And for everybody else who's not in that team will not see that link at all. So I can personalize in a way to display or hide that navigation. One thing to note there is that it's not a security feature because people can still get to that page through search and so forth. But this is just to kind of show and hide that personalization, if you like. And the same ways you can actually personalize the news as well as some of the web parts as well. So that same audience targeting capability exists throughout the places. But once I've done that, I can just close this particular navigation here. In fact, I'll go back to Teams now. And if I just refresh this page within my Teams landing Viva Connections app, then because I've got access to it anyways, then that link will come across in a sec. And because I've got a lot of things going on this machine, so it just takes slow, but in reality, it doesn't take that long. So it's not doing anything. One more time, I'll refresh. Right, doesn't like that. Let's try again. Open up Teams. And can you believe it? I'm still initializing it. Okay, I'll come back to that in a sec once it's finished loading or whatever it's doing. And I'm running this web browser, so just get rid of that. And okay, let me come back to that. I'll jump back to the slides. So yeah, so that was a quick way, if you like, to kind of get to bring various content services, if you like, Stream, Yammer, and all those things into your page, and then that page is then published out there. Going back to our earlier discussion around sites, hubs, you know, what is the hub? And essentially, hub is a collection of all the sites that's relating in a particular way, and that could be by a particular department or a particular location or geography. Doesn't matter, whichever it is, you're able to bring all those sites together so that you create that parent-child type relationship. And the benefit there, of course, is that whenever you search from, say, in this case, the sales or HR or the EMEA site, then any sites relating to that, whether it's a team site or a communication site, it will bring those results inside that particular hub site itself. So this kind of makes up that experience as well, to be able to bring all your sites together inside your Viva Connections as well. So being able to then travel through various like global marketing sales earlier on we did, and then get to those pages very quickly. There are tons of web parts that you can use and you can personalize them. So we looked at just a very few ones. The recent ones that have been added is things like saved for later, organization chart, and then obviously one of the things on the roadmap for Viva Connections is a couple of web parts like dashboard and feed that's going to come across, which will have, you know, not just the tasks but other data elements as well. So being able to then put that on the page and bring it onto the app, then makes it more richer and personalized in that area. So that's kind of a list of web parts there. And then we had a look at the audience targeting. So navigation is one of the areas you can personalize it, but also you have your news web part. So be able to target specific news as well as the content like files and all those things with a highlighted content web part, being able to target to a specific set of teams or departments to have visibility of those files within that. My Teams is just not liking me at all on this one, which is shame. Okay. Well, you'll have to take my word for it. That link that I published should have come. Oh, okay, right. And there it is. So Teams Nation in the menu link there. So it just works anyways, and then you can get to that page. So then if I go to my Teams Nation page, so there's my page that I created. and there's my content that's come across all in there as well. So quick way of bringing all that across, and then I can go into my tasks there. Don't want to open the app, but I'll just go into the web app itself, and then that will take me to my what we call my tasks, team tasks, if you like, which is yet another app, if you like. And this is where all my tasks, whether it's a team or my personal tasks, all those are in one place. So a very quick way to kind of get in between my tasks within that area. Okay, I think we're nearly coming to the end. Just looking at my time, so I think I'm pretty much out of time. So I'm gonna just wrap up on that. So if I could just go to a very quick couple of slides. So yeah, in terms of the timeline wise, SharePoint home site has been around for a couple of years. Viva it's brand new. It's only about 2 months old in terms of the product offering group that's been offered. There's more to come. Some of it in preview, so keep an eye on the roadmap as to what's coming through. But yeah, summer is the time to look forward to, and hopefully more features will be rolling out to the Microsoft Viva itself. We only looked at Microsoft 365 services like Teams and the Stream and Yammer and all those things. But if you look at the whole ecosystem in terms of what Viva can do, then at the moment this is what it can do. There's obviously, like Microsoft says, more is coming. So being able to integrate various other learning content as well as other services within that. So this is only going to get richer, and certainly from a knowledge investment, if you like, for every employee. Is being able to kind of stay ahead of that game, if you like, being able to then work with the the latest and also being able to stay in control, not just from a work perspective, but also from a personal point of view in terms of how much time you spend on doing things and the analytics that goes around it. For those of you who are starting new with the intranet side of things, it can be a bit kind of time effort to consume all that. The lookbook is a great place to go to, lookbook.microsoft.com, being able to then just pick a template or an intranet starter kit, and then being able to just deploy that intranet and kind of build it on from that. So tons of inspirational ideas, and that's constantly getting updated. So not just for SharePoint, but you also got Microsoft lists as well, lookbook in there as well. Few resources, few links, everything that I've shown you today, shared to you, all is available on Microsoft and other sites. Links are there, so you can have step by step, and hopefully you can follow through that. Again, I'm speaking at a few events coming up later this year. So again, I'm gonna post the slides there. Do hope to see you some point at some of these events, and in particular Comsverse and South Coast Summit in the UK in-person events. So I'm really looking forward to that and really meet people for real now. So fingers crossed, if things go well, then we will do that. Hopefully you've enjoyed and learned something, and really appreciate good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. Any feedback is good for me, so really urge you to do that, please. And just want to say a massive thanks to the organizers and the volunteers, and in particular Aaron here for moderating this session. So with that, really thank you for your time. And have a look at the questions if there are any, and if anybody wants to shout out the question, then please feel free to do so.
Brilliant, thank you. I think there are a couple
yeah,
that haven't been answered.
Yeah, let me have a look. Okay.
One of them was from Hiwi, but I think they've left the chat now, so
yeah. Is that, yeah, that's a good blog post from Chris, setting up Viva Connections. Okay. Can I customize home site to be used for different intranets of different companies in the same tenant? Depends what you mean by customize. So you can only have one home site per tenant. What you can personalize is the links. So you may have potentially, let's say, different hub sites, if you like, for those companies. And then within those hub sites, you can have the actual hub navigation for those individual companies. So you could probably land that far. Obviously, you can put security around it if you wanted to. So partly yes, but you can't have multiple home sites within that. Just going down to that question. I tried to create the app following the official instructions, and in the errors, the app cannot be created. Please ensure the site link provided is modern. Yeah, and you have admin privileges. Get SPO is not recognized as the same command. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that commandlet, I haven't seen that before. So get-spo is com site is not what you want to do. What you want to use the commandlet there is get-spo home site. So just to check to see if there is a home site already that exists, which in this case, if you haven't set it up, and as a SharePoint administrator, you may have an idea because only the SharePoint administrator can set that up. So if you haven't got one, you pick a SharePoint site, let's say the intranet, that might be called just that, intranet. Then you would run a command set-spo home site, and then the argument there is the home URL, home site URL, and then put the whole URL address, and that will set up the home site within that. Okay.
I think that was
Yeah.
it. Right.
Okay. Yeah. I think the links are there, and I think that there's some good links in there as well. So, and yeah, this is constantly being worked upon. I know that the community is great for this because everyone's trying this out and different ways. So absolutely, you know, some good links there as well, and so do check out. But yeah, I think hopefully that's the questions I've answered. Why is the logo not showing? Very good. In my case, it just didn't show because I've spun up the demo tenant and probably somewhere is not provisioned, but the logo will show up. Yeah, great. Okay, well, I think, you know, I really appreciate for those of you giving the feedback on this, and you know, I'm around, so you know, feel free to post any questions, thoughts if you have them afterwards, or just reach out to me on Tech Chirag on Twitter or something, and hope to see you or some of you some point soon. But with that, thank you.